Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar with Fujitsu and VMware Broadcom, or by Broadcom, back to business. So my name is Nipa. I work for Fujitsu. I'm the hybrid cloud IT solution sales specialist, and I've also got James. James, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks. I can just see in the attendees, I can see Stan joining and Boris is there. Yeah, I'm James Cadwell. I'm a principal partner solution architect at VMware by Broadcom, but I'm focused on supporting our global value-added OEMs.
Perfect, thank you.
Hello, Mark. Hello, Ben. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. Right, we're on 10:31, so we'll kick off and let's get right into it. So just to recap on the agenda, so we're going to talk about kind of what's changed in the world of VMware by Broadcom, the infrastructure, platform options available. We're going to talk about optimizing licensing costs and give you a couple of examples there towards the end, and then how Fujitsu can help our partners and customers with this
Yeah.
whole VMware or new world of VMware Broadcom.
Yeah, and I'll be here talking a little bit about what's happened in changes in our platform. I'll also be keeping an eye on the Q&A and the chat. So if you've got anything that
Yeah, so
you want to
if you
put
do
in
have any
there,
questions, yeah,
yeah,
brilliant.
try and address it as we go along or at the end if we've got the time. So please do fire away.
Excellent. Thank you, James. So first and foremost, let's take a look at what happened. And I've got one word, which is just absolute chaos. And we've all felt the pain. We all felt the concerns, the uncertainty, not knowing what's going on, what we can sell, what we can't sell. It was just, it was a big fat question mark for quite a number of months and quarters. Lots of uncertainty and lots of confusion. However, we've now moved on from there. We have full clarity, full certainty on what we can and cannot do, and we are here to help sort of unfog some of those issues. So first of all, what's changed? So there are a couple of key things around what's changed with the new VMware Broadcom. First of all, and I'm sure some of you are already aware of this, it's moving from perpetual licenses over to subscription licenses. That's kind of one of the biggest changes out there. The number of cores as well. So now it's a minimum of 16 cores that you would have to purchase in terms of a license by VMware. And lastly, the perpetual and support. So that's the level 1, level 2 support. Now, as a VAO, which is a value added OEM, which is the one of the highest pinnacle partner status that VMware issues out. When it comes to a VAO, you're looking at VAO hardware, so that'll be Fujitsu hardware, along with the level 1, level 2 support and the VMware licenses. That's the solution that VAOs are able to offer. So it's all three combined.
Yeah,
So
it's a long-term close partnership that includes, co-engineering these solutions together to give a, unprecedented amount of integration and access for Fujitsu into our, software engineering organization. So it's fantastic.
exactly. Thank you, James. Another thing that's changed is VMware had so many different products, so many part numbers, and it was a minefield at times, especially if you didn't have the skill sets and the knowledge internally. It was very difficult to sort of navigate. That's all changed. So from going from 168 products, we now have 2 solutions with some add-ons. Very, very simple, very, very clean. And this is to help customers go through that digital transformation journey and streamline the product offering that's out there in the market. And plus, I mentioned you've got the add-ons as well, which we'll come on to a bit later. So if we look at this slide, it just kind of shows you VMware vSphere was the old legacy solution that was available out to customers. But actually what that means is, you're kind of tied into just virtualization. There was nothing else you can purchase there. So it was just one area. Where VMware are focusing now is more that VVF, so the vSphere Foundation, and then the full stack of VCF. And just to sort of break that down a little bit. So clients and customers looking for enterprise workload engines, intelligent operations and analytics, and optimizing infrastructure, absolutely that VVF should be the starting point of any conversation, really. And then for the enterprise clients out there, it's that full stack, private and hybrid cloud solution, platform security, resilience, security, all that kind of stuff. And also that whole AI, going into that AI world, that's absolutely where VCF is a play.
Yeah.
And just going into a bit more detail there. So I've mentioned that server virtualization. That's kind of like the legacy part of VMware Broadcom. Once you're there, there's no upgradability with vSphere today. So, if your customers are buying a 3 or 5 year license, which is the only two options available now, clients are almost stuck. So if their business is growing and they need additional storage, they need data protection, they need consolidation, they'd have to purchase a brand new VMware license. So again, it's where the conversation should be starting is absolutely with that whole VVF solution. And even if customers don't require the entire stack of what's in that VVF solution today, you are taking them through that journey. You are giving them future-proofed infrastructure. So when their business grows, their infrastructure is there ready to grow with them. And that's the whole point in having these two very defined solutions out there from VVF and VCF. And of course, you've got the VCF solution, which is the full stack. So management, automation, self-service IaaS platforms. You've got the security, you've got those AI workloads out there as well. So absolutely, that is the full stack. James, is there anything you want to add on to that?
No, you've made some really good points. What I would add really is that, customers are getting a lot included in these solutions. Like you said, they're getting operations management, they're getting automation, they're getting life cycle management, built into the solution. So there's possibly an opportunity here for them to take out some costs if they're spending money on third-party tooling in order to manage their vSphere estate. If you're buying these, solutions with all of this baked in, they're getting some really powerful tooling and functionality included. So when you're comparing, base vSphere with your customers, whilst the solutions might initially look, it look like they're a higher price, but do bear in mind that you're getting a lot of additional functionality included. There's cost takeout. I mean, we'll come back to some more on the TCO and stuff in a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
Oh,
James.
one thing also to
Oh,
just to add is that included in VCF, Cloud Foundation, which is the full private cloud solution. This is the only way that your customers can get NSX, which is VMware's network virtualization product, which will be called VCF networking from this point in. So that is taking the principles that we've applied for compute in the vSphere platform, in for storage with vSAN in the VVF vSphere Foundation. But if the customer wants virtualized networking, the only way now to get it is to buy VCF. So if they've already invested in NSX separately, then they've got to buy VCF from this point forward.
yeah, good point. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to hand over to James. He's going to talk a little bit about the market today, where we are, what it looks like, and some of the solutions that VMware can help with.
Yeah, so how have we got here? Our customers, they've spent 15, 20, maybe even 25 years investing in the VMware vSphere server virtualization product. It's pretty much an industry standard now. 90% of organizations will use it in one way or another. So they are really getting that value from virtualization, getting lots of virtual machines packed together onto a server. They're used to getting the value from the vMotion functionality of moving virtual machines around, etc. So we want to add additional value. But within their IT organizations, they're still facing challenges of having to do more with less. Also, the structure of the IT organization is also, presenting challenges, in they're often organized into these silos. So you've got the compute or platforms teams that's just looking after vSphere and the virtualization. You might have a storage team looking after legacy NAS, NFS, hardware, networking team looking after physical networking, and then a security team trying to apply governance across this enormous mishmash of all sorts of different, different technologies, different vendors, different teams. So for the business, it means that it's taking forever to get new applications deployed. Could be talking months. If they want a new server standing up, that's taking weeks, if not months. It's very ticket driven. You've got to, raise a request for a server. So a ticket gets open, they raise a ticket with the storage team. Can you add some storage, etc.? But one of the reasons why customers are beginning to look at that cloud-like experience is to try and reduce this complexity. So what we're seeing with VVF and VCF is you are enabling the customers to have that public cloud-like experience where everything is driven through an interface, everything's done with automation. You can define policies, you can define tags, so that when you deploy servers for applications, they pick up the policies, they pick up the settings. So the time that's taken to deploy new applications and new servers for the business drastically reduced. So why is it, though, that customers are moving away from the public cloud? They love the experience, but they're not so keen on some, when they get there, the realities. So next slide, please, Nipa. So what we're hearing from our customers and from the industries is that, as I said, they love the public cloud, but they're finding the reality that it's actually really expensive and it's really difficult to keep track on what is going on. And when it comes to trying to modernize their on-premise legacy architecture, they're finding that to be a real challenge because it's very complex. You've got different bits of that application architecture running on different bits, of the data center. They're suddenly finding they're having to face challenges around sovereignty. Governments are putting on requirements for data to stay within the borders, or you've got UK regulations like DORA that are driving the requirements for data sovereignty. We also find when you're trying to move to the public cloud that in some ways it's actually too easy. So it's really easy for your end users or your line of business IT departments to spin up file shares, SharePoint accounts, email, or spin up new servers, deploy new SaaS applications, but actually keeping track of what's being spent becomes really difficult. And then when users leave or they retire applications, accounts are left running, servers are left running, storage is left allocated, and it's costing the company money, but not delivering any value because it's difficult to track. And it's these things that are driving the move towards more of a mixed approach of public and on-premise. Next slide, please, Nipa. So we're hearing a lot from customers that they're talking about repatriating some of their workloads, repatriating some of their applications back onto on-premise. But let's be clear here, this isn't all workloads coming back from the cloud onto on-premise. What we're seeing is that that cloud first strategy that started happening about 10 years ago, that's gone away. We're now into more of a cloud smart era where it's about having the right workload in the right place for it. So if it needs to be closer to your, end users, maybe closer to your mobile applications, then yeah, great, put it in the cloud. But if it needs to be closer to your users for performance or latency, security, sovereignty, governance, etc., like in something like that, then move it back onto on-premise. But as I said, customers still want that cloud-like experience. So private cloud on premise is becoming more and more important. And again, in the UK, legislation like DORA is
Mm.
making uh, customers have a plan for repatriation so that they aren't dependent on the hyperscalers. So it's those things that are driving to this hybrid mixed model of public cloud and on-premise private cloud. Thank you. Back to you. Oh,
No, not yet.
not yet. There we go. I thought we were back to why Fujitsu, but let's just quickly recap on those themes that I've covered. We've talked about that cloud-like experience. Customers want automation, they want orchestration, they want to be able to just go click, click, deploy. They want t-shirt size servers where the the end users don't get a choice. They get the IT approved version, and that's going out in a secure way. So VVF and VCF is bringing together all of your compute and storage and networking together onto one platform. And if we go back to thinking a few slides ago, where the challenges that are being faced in the IT organizations, where their teams are split into silos, bringing everything together into one interface, one platform, means that those teams can work together, or even seeing them merge together into platform teams where, because everything is virtualized, they can manage everything together and they can apply policies. And if you've got people in the customer organization that have been using vSphere and vCenter for 10, 15, 20 years, it's all going to look really familiar to them. The interface is what they're used to with vCenter, but we're just adding all this wonderful extra functionality for storage, for networking, for containers, for monitoring the networking, all built into that one console. So it's going to feel really familiar. So in order getting them up to speed with building new skills, it's not going to take any time at all because it's going to look really familiar. And, it's a really good way of tying everything together for that cloud-like experience. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Um, and yeah, just, really interesting comments there. And it's right. That's what customers are facing today. IT is becoming so much more complex and so much more challenging. And, customers out there are looking for that experience, that support, the resources in-house where you can go in and have those in-depth conversations with clients. You talked about the complexity of those silos. You've
Yeah.
talked about how expensive the cloud is, and you've talked about those hidden costs as well. You talked about SharePoint as an example. You put in stuff on SharePoint, great, but the hidden costs that people don't think about is, okay, if I'm on SharePoint as a user and then I'm accessing SharePoint to then take things down, edit it and save it again, all that is a cost to a business. And I mean, that's one person, me, and I'm probably using so many different applications every single day. Times that by the number of people you've got working for you, all of a sudden that's a hefty bill. That's a hidden cost that no one ever thinks about. And this is where Fujitsu can come in and support that. This is where we can have those in-depth customer conversations about, okay, you've got stuff out there in the cloud, great for database and developers to spin up workloads, all that. That's fantastic. Cloud's great for that. But actually, when it comes to security, when it comes to precious data, that all that stuff needs to be on-prem, and it's helping customers have that conversation and help them understand exactly what needs to go where and why and what protocols need to be set. Coupled
Yeah.
with VMware and the Fujitsu skill sets and knowledge in-house, we can absolutely add that as value when we're talking to our customers with our reseller partners through our distribution disties we've got out there, and jointly with our end customers. That's where Fujitsu can really come in and add value to our channel partners to go and take this message out to customers. We can set up workshops if needed within several people of the organization who have got stakeholders, people that need to know where it's not just IT, it's finance, it's CTO, it's everybody needs to be involved in these conversations now. And that's where Fujitsu can help bring that together and add that support and value. Another thing I want to just touch on is to that why Fujitsu message. I mentioned earlier, we're one of 6 VAOs, but actually only one of 4 VAOs if we look at European wide, who have got this pinnacle partner status with VMware. And what that means is we have pre-tested, pre-certified, trusted technology platforms that are authorized by VMware. But it also means that we have to have a certain level, quite a high level of technical skill sets in-house that have to keep updated with the latest and greatest VMware certifications. All that's done in the background, and that's one of the benefits that we can bring to the table when talking to resellers and partners and end customers. And another thing as well, I put on their quote to cash, implementation to support, and the back end process of working with VMware is still quite complex. There's a lot to do and a lot to manage. The quoting and ordering process isn't simple. Although we'd love it to be even simpler, but it just isn't, and we just have to work with it. But all that Fujitsu can help with. Again, we've got the resources, skill sets, the technology, the people in the background to support all of this. That level 1, level 2 support, again, is super, super important. I know distribution have now access to the level 1, level 2 support. Let's face it, that's not their bread and butter. That's one of Fujitsu's bread and butter. So you're in very, very capable hands when you're bringing Fujitsu to the table with your customers. Think of us as that one-stop shop. And to complement that, I just want to touch base on a couple of ways to purchase. I'm going to build this slide out so everyone can see. So let's look at the top left. You look at Primergy, which are our servers. You can buy a Primergy server today with VMware licenses separately. Not a problem, right? That's how customers have done it before. It needs a lot of in-house skill sets. It needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of people involved in it. You have to know exactly what you're building. You have to make sure everything's working. You've got to move things from one place to another. That's a lot of time, effort, resource, not to mention the delivery times and implementation times it takes to set these things up. It can take weeks, months. That's time wasted for an organization. Whereas what we can support with here, if we look at the bottom right-hand corner, you've got the VVF Prime Flex Ready nodes. So they are pre-certified. You have got implementation and post-sale support that comes with it. So that this product, this solution with VMware license on top is going to work. We can help set up protocols and work with organizations to set their security standards across everything. So it adds so much value. It speeds up that process to get things from delivery up and running. And then to take that one step further, if we are looking at customers who are interested in that VCF full stack solution, that hybrid on-prem, on-cloud flexibility, we've got the entire turnkey solution, pre-certified, pre-installed, implementation. You've got the post-sales and pre-sales support as well.
And that's a really important point that you're making there. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
But when you're asking the question of why go for the Fujitsu co-engineered solution, one of the real challenges that the customers are facing is in security and governance is actually reducing human error. When they're deploying new systems, the beauty of buying from our VAO partners is when these servers are delivered into your data center, they are ready to go. They've got for the co-engineered solution, with VCF, they're coming. You stand them up, you plug them in, and they're ready to go. They're already installed. They've got the security hardening already on there. So in terms of the confidence of the governance and security people within the organization, they know it's ready to go and it's not going to present them a problem. So a lot of the assurances that they're used to with working with public cloud providers, they're getting that same certainty. They're getting that same consistency of configuration, that consistency of the infrastructure, so that, the benefits there are huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, James. And just to add to that as well, whilst we've got the full turnkey co-engineer solution on the VCF, the top end stack, we are also bringing out to market the same co-engineer solution on the VVF solution as well. It's not quite ready yet, but it will come. So, bear that in mind. But don't let that stop you from having conversations with customers, because when you're looking at a VMware license and what do we do next, actually, it's not a 3-month conversation. It's a long haul play. So let's have those conversations super early and show our customers what's available today, or we start talking about today to actually implement in the future for them, which will be ready. Okay, so switching up a little bit, just talking about the customer segmentation. So this is something else that VMware by Broadcom brought into play. And it's that customer segmentation. So you can see the triangle on the left-hand side, you've got strategic, corporate, and commercial. Now, just looking at the strategic customers, when we kind of first launched with VMware Broadcom a few months ago, there was around about 2,000 customers in that strategic area. Actually, now that's been reduced down to 500. 500 customers where VMware will talk to you directly. And, Fujitsu have got a play in there as well. And there's some joint stuff that we do. The majority of customers will sit in that corporate and commercial space. So actually, VVF and VCF are the right solutions. We know they're the right solutions. Anything from sort of 2 to 6 servers, VVF is absolutely the foundation starting point that we should be having with these customers. And like I said, to help them future-proof, to take them through that digital transformation journey. But just wanted to kind of show you a visual on what that looks like. If you have got customers out there and you kind of want to understand where they sit in that corporate or commercial place, please come and speak to me. We've got the access to the VMware portal that we can check that for you and then have the conversations accordingly. Okay, opportunity examples. So, and I've got a whole heap of opportunities that I can share with you after this call if anybody's interested. But just to give you one example, let's say you've got a customer out there with perpetual VMware licenses coming to an end and they're operating on pretty old Fujitsu hardware platform. Option 1, upgrade the software. Yeah, no problem. Customers can do that. Absolutely. It's a 3 or 5-year subscription. They can upgrade. Just remember though, it's a minimum of 16 licenses per core now, a minimum. So let's say your customer's got, say, 6 Fujitsu servers and a few of them have only got 8 on there, 8 cores. You're still paying for a minimum of 16. Okay, so actually it's going to cost you a whole lot more. And especially when they've got just vSphere Foundation, again, you're limited them to virtualization only. There's no upgrade path. So how about we look at it slightly differently? Let's look at upgrading the software and the hardware at the same time. Maybe even reducing the number of servers they have down to, say, 4, making them all minimum of 16 cores, therefore reducing the number of licenses that a customer is going to require. Not only do they get the latest and greatest software, so let's say VVF or VCF, with all the add-ons available and the solution, the stack that it comes with, you're also getting the latest and greatest technology in terms of the hardware as well.
Yeah.
So you've got your server consolidation, you can reduce your power and CO2 emissions, improve TCO, and the list is there. Now, this is not going to be the same for every customer scenario is going to be different, but let's have those conversations and we can help support those conversations with you, alongside you.
That's a really great point. Again, in the customer conversations that you might be having, where we find customers are saying, we just want to replace the footprint that we've got today with new hardware. Now, there is a chance there that is going to look high price. Okay. But let's take the opportunity here to revisit, what it is that they've got. There's some great tooling available. Fujitsu have got some tooling. They've got their sales teams to support you, but also, VMware by Broadcom, we've got some great online tooling. We've got the vSAN sizing tool online, which you can feed in what the customer's current configuration is, and it will tell you what you would need on newer hardware. We've also got some guides on how to count cores and estimate cores for your new environment. Now, one thing that we're finding in our customers, even if there isn't any money to invest in IT, chances are that there is money available to support green initiatives, to support ESG, to support sustainability.
Mm.
So if you can fund this change in the infrastructure, if your customers can fund it from their ESG budget, because they're going from an estate of 10 servers down to 6, the IT manager is going to look like a hero because he's helped the ESG people reduce the footprint, reduce the amount of power. And with the Primogy M6, the latest generation of hardware, you're getting the latest Intel Xeon, the Granite Rapids generation of processors, which the vSphere 8 core that is running VVF and VCF works with really, really well. It's optimized to run with that hardware. So the density of virtual machines that you can pack onto these servers, comparison with hardware that's 4 or 5 years old, you're going to get a load more on there, and it's going to run, beautifully. So there's some real benefits there from moving to the latest generation of hardware. In the storage world as well, if you're moving from either the older, direct attached storage within the server itself, or if you're running an older version of VMware storage virtualization, the vSAN product, we used to have what was called the OSA, which was the original storage architecture, if you like. And we now have the express storage architecture in vSAN. And that is so much more efficient, and uses the space that's available in the storage in a much more efficient and performant way, that again, the footprint of storage that the customer may have now versus what they might need with the latest version of vSAN could actually be less. You're also getting some beautiful features in there, like global deduplication. So if you've got sprawl of all sorts of files, file servers, PowerPoint presentations, SharePoint, all of that, that's going to help you manage down that unstructured data into a smaller footprint. You can also, the ESA lets you do all sorts of mixtures of data striping. So if they've got different requirements for different applications as to how it's protected across the storage, ESA is going to do that for you, and it's going to take up a lot less space than it did, particularly if they were running, physical disks in the past. The move to the M6 servers with the NVMe storage, the performance and the efficiency is going to be, a big step for them.
Yeah, and definitely some interesting points there, James. And like I said, it's absolutely worth having that customer conversation just to see where we can explore further and actually see where we can support and give them these ideas and suggestions. Sometimes our customers don't know what's out there. So it's down to us to help support. And like I said, partnering with Fujitsu, along with our technology alliance partner like VMware, you've got the support, the skills, the in-house knowledge to help sit alongside you at these customer meetings to take them through that journey and do the right thing for the customer.
Yeah, and with the switch to subscription licensing as well, the customers can, if they're going to expand in the future, if the capacity that they require they know is going to come, then they only need to buy that subscription when they need it, rather than the old days of perpetual licensing where they had to guess, what are we going to need it over the next 5 years. With for instance vSAN storage being able as available as an add-on, they can buy the VVF now. Then when they want to add in some additional storage into that server later on, they buy the subscription for that.
Mm.
One gotcha to go along with that, make sure that you co-term the length of that subscription with your main, with your main,
Right.
what your main contract. That's just a
Yeah.
gotcha with subscription. But other than that, you're giving them the flexibility to commit those costs when they need to.
Yeah. And to add on to that as well, we also have the Fujitsu U scale offering. That's absolutely up for conversation here too, where applicable on that consumption-based model where you're only paying for what you're using. So as you grow, your data grows, you've got the infrastructure there ready in place, but you're only paying for what you need. And you've got that flexibility of scaling up and scaling down as well. So it's all there up for grabs and support. I hope that's helped, and I hope that's given you a bit more insight and made things a bit clearer as to what's available and how Fujitsu can support along with VMware by Broadcom. That brings us to the end of our session. I just want to check if there's any questions in the Q&A because I can't actually see
I've
that.
not seen anything in the chat or the Q&A. So we've obviously wowed everybody with the level of the detail, or they're going to go and have to have a lie down and go, what we've seen, what we've heard was just so amazing. I don't know how I'm going to integrate all of this together, but or they're already on the phone to their customers. Oh, we've just seen this
Hey.
presentation. I'm going to have to hang on, hang on. So yeah, great. But if you do have anything, stick it in the chat or in the Q&A now.
Yeah, and also as well, this was a very high level kind of whistle stop tour as to just to give you a kind of update, flash proof updates to what's out there today and how we can support it in conjunction. If anybody does want a further conversation, a bit more in depth, a bit more one-on-one, has a specific customer in mind, please feel free to reach out to myself. Feel free to reach out to Fujitsu account manager, James. So yeah, we're all here for you to use and we're all here at your disposal. So if no one's adding anything in the chat, again, if you want to take it offline and separate, that's absolutely fine. A copy of the presentation along with the recording will be sent out to you shortly. And I'd just like to take this opportunity, James, thank you for supporting. And thank you everyone that attended the call today. Appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. Have a good week. Thanks,
Thank
Nipa.
you all.
Thanks
Take
for your time.
care.